Have you been trying to start something new, but you've been telling yourself it's too hard or maybe even impossible? Hi, I'm Jessica Huang, your career transition coach, and welcome to this episode of Permission to Flow. So, the word hard is something that we say to ourselves all the time. This thing is too hard. I don't know if I can do it. Our minds tend to go into this negative thinking, especially when we're trying to start something new. And let's face it, the path to changing your life requires you to do new things. Hate to say it, right? But that's the reality is that we have to learn new things. We have to take on new challenges in the path of becoming the person that we want to be, in the path of creating the life that we really want to create for ourselves. And so this constant talking about telling ourselves that things are hard is holding us back. So, how do we get past this? Here's the thing. Let me tell you a little bit of a background story of why this episode came to being. This was me. This was me all the time. I constantly was telling myself that things were hard or difficult or impossible and was kind of just holding myself back all the time. And it's interesting because this is exactly the power of coaching. The reason why this episode came to being is my coach called me out on it. My coach DL in one of our coaching sessions was like, "Hey, you got to change, you got to stop saying that things are hard." And it literally blew my mind because I did not realize I was doing it. And I love doing this for my clients. Every so often I notice them repeatedly saying some word that is just this word. It seems innocuous, but in reality, it is something that because we keep doing it over and over again, we are in essence telling ourselves like it's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, and we're making it so. I wanted to talk a little bit about my journey on really changing my own mindset about things being hard and some of the tips and tricks that I've found along the way that have helped me really change my relationship with things being hard. So that's the backstory of how I started to change my own relationship with the word hard. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about it from three different angles. The first is really catching ourselves even when we're calling things hard. The second is really questioning it and asking why are we calling it hard. And the third is really being able to embrace the challenge. So that's what we're going to talk about in this episode. And I hope by the end of it, you will start changing your own relationship with the word hard and maybe use it a little bit less. All right, so let's jump in. The first thing I want to talk about is catching ourselves calling things hard. I had no idea that I was even calling things hard all the time. You know, it's one of those things where we just say things without realizing it, but I want you to pay attention to the way that you talk about something that you are trying to work towards. So if you're starting something new, if you're like, "Hey, in order for me to change my life, to become the thing that I want to do, to, write that book or start this start teaching yoga classes or whatever the case may be, I want you to notice how you're explaining or describing that. If you were to be talking to, let's say, a friend, right? When you're going to your friend, are you saying, "Oh my God, I really want to start up these classes. I really want to do start writing this novel, but it's just so freaking hard." And I want you to notice if you're calling this new thing hard. Because the first thing to ever making a change for ourselves is identifying where we're doing it. And so I just want you to pay attention to anything that you are calling hard or difficult or downright impossible. That's the real kicker, right? Is when you call something literally impossible, you're literally putting up a wall and saying, "Well, that can't be done." And so you're telling your brain it can't be done. So I was thinking about this the other day. I keep a bullet journal and it's something that has just, I don't know, it's a little like art project for me as well as just keeping track of my life. And when I was creating the cover art, I guess you could call it, for this year, I literally wrote, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. Otherwise, I don't know if it's going to be backwards. No, we'll fix it. Anyway, it says 2024, make the impossible possible. And then on the other side, I wrote, what is meant for you will never pass you by. Firm belief that I sit in now. And it was funny because I was reflecting on the fact that I wrote this, make the impossible possible. And just the power of those words, it has been downright transformative for me this year. Because every time that I am sitting with a challenge or sitting with something difficult, I think to myself, well, I'm going to make the impossible possible. And the moment you start to change and catch where you're calling something difficult, hard, impossible, like all these kind of words that are putting up walls, essentially, right? They're putting up mental walls. They're going, it cannot be done. It's like saying to yourself, well, I'm going to make the impossible possible, starts to kind of shift that and go, oh, well, it's not actually impossible. And I think that's the thing, right? Is we're slowly trying to take down these walls that are blocking ourselves from the thing that we really want to be doing, from the thing that we really want to learn or experience or whatever the case may be. And instead going, yes, of course it can be done. Maybe it's just saying it's possible. That's kind of step one, right? Of kind of moving yourself towards the ability to do something is even just telling yourself it is possible. And so, catching yourself doing it, find evidence, like find examples of things, of ways in which like this is possible, of other people who have done it, or ways that you've taken things that seemed impossible at one point in your life and made them possible. Because I bet you there are plenty of examples of that you might not be paying attention to. There are so many. It was so interesting. I'm telling a lot of stories today, but I was looking back. I keep a journal, and I'm a really, really intensive journaler. And the other day I was looking back at my journal from the beginning of this year, and I was kind of thumbing through some of the pages, looking through and reading things that I was struggling with at that time, in January, February of this year. And I was like, wow, in January or February, I thought these things were impossible. There were things in there that I thought I could never figure out. And guess what? I did. With this podcast at the beginning of the year, I thought it would be absolutely impossible to go to weekly episodes. That was something that I had told myself, oh my God, that's hard. That's impossible. It cannot be done. Well, guess what? I'm literally doing it right now. So that is what is so interesting, is how much we put these walls up against saying that something can't be done, and we tell ourselves it's impossible. But I'm telling you, like, look for examples of things that you once thought were impossible and now come almost like second nature to you. Because I'm certain that you have overcome so many things. Even if you go back a week, a month, a year, I bet you there are so many challenges that you have overcome that you're not paying attention to. And so our ability to go, oh, catching the fact that we've been calling this hard or impossible and go, no, I'm going to make the impossible possible. That right there is going to completely change your life, that alone. So that is kind of the first thing that I want you to think about, is really noticing where it is that you are using this kind of language around something that you are trying to start, and not trying, around something you are starting. And being able to shift yourself to saying, okay, absolutely this is possible. Absolutely this isn't hard. Now that we've talked about catching ourselves calling things hard or difficult, the second thing I want to talk about is really questioning it. And I love this idea of questioning, like, why have we considered this thing hard? It goes into this idea of like, is it hard or is it new? Is it hard or is it outside of our comfort zone? Is it hard or is it just something that no one around you is doing? Noticing and questioning, why are we calling it hard? Why have we decided that this thing is difficult or impossible or hard? And oftentimes it's one of those things, right? It's like, think about the fact that if no one around you is doing the thing that you're doing, of course you're going to think it's hard because you don't have examples of anyone ever having done it before. And I think that this is so normal, right? It's like, oh, you feel like the odd man out. And it's interesting, this whole thing around like being a black sheep or going against the grain. It's something that is going outside of that comfort zone, and it makes us uncomfortable. And so then we're going, oh, it's hard, it's impossible, it's difficult. But it's mostly just that we've never seen it done before in at least in the people that we know. But that doesn't mean that you can't do it. And I want you to remember that, right? And so maybe it is breaking outside of that comfort zone. Maybe it is something new, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible. It just means that it's going to take some learning. It's going to require some curiosity, some compassion with yourself as you're figuring it out. It's going to take some time and effort. That's all that means. And here's one of my favorite things. So I was thinking back to the movie Legally Blonde with Elle Woods at the beginning when she gets into Harvard. Someone asks her how she got into Harvard, and she goes, "What? Like it's hard?" I am literally obsessed with this phrase, and I have been utilizing it all over the place lately because it is so freaking powerful. The moment I notice myself calling something hard, all I go to myself is go, "What? Like it's hard?" And something about that that kind of nonchalance around it, going, "Of course it can be done." That attitude makes it so. And I think that this is the thing, is our minds are so geared towards a negativity bias, right? Like we're geared towards going negative on things and thinking that they're going to be hard or difficult or impossible. And so when you ask yourself this question, what? Like it's hard? Your brain starts to go, oh, of course, it isn't hard. And let me start coming up with ideas. Like it breaks itself out of this kind of fixed box that we can kind of think in, and thinking that like, oh, it needs to be done this way and it needs to look this way. And it's like when we go, what? Like it's hard? It's like we allow ourselves a little bit more space to start brainstorming, to start getting curious, to find a different solution outside of whatever our brains have already been telling us, right? And it's interesting because I think about this with so many different challenges that I've come across. And recently one of my biggest challenges was that I was struggling with making short form content. This has been an ongoing thing that I've constantly been telling myself is hard. And it was interesting because I've been working with my collaborator Travis, and he was like, "Hey, we're gonna shoot 60-second reels. Okay, you're gonna like this is gonna what we're gonna do going forward so that it can go on YouTube and whatnot." And my brain went, "Oh my God, I can't do that. It's so hard. I've been struggling with this for months now, and it's impossible." And it was so funny because I kind of cooked in that mindset for the rest of the night after we were talking about this. And then the next morning, I don't know, like I just had this thought. Well, I really started to ask myself, what? Like it's hard? And suddenly just as saying that to myself, like it's not hard. Like I can figure this out. It just started to unravel the blocks within myself that were holding me back from even broaching the idea. And here's the thing, us calling it hard or difficult or impossible, it causes us to not even want to start. We don't even take the first step because we've already labeled it this way. We've already been calling it hard. And it's like, our brains don't want to do hard things. We're just like, no, back away. Let's not. Right. And so instead, when you're saying yourself, what, like it's hard, you're kind of just embracing the fact that like you're gonna figure it out. Like obviously you can. And it's just, it becomes so casual instead of this kind of literally, like I'm thinking of like a hard surface, right? That wall feeling. You're instead kind of softening it. you're softening the wall, you're making it squishy. This is such a weird analogy that I've created, but we're going to go with it, right? But let's think of it, literally think of it that way, right? When we're calling it hard, you're literally putting a hard surface in front of yourself. You're saying there's a wall here, I cannot get past it. That's what your brain is doing. You're literally putting a wall in front of you and whatever it is that you want to be doing. And when we ask ourselves the question of what, like it's hard, you're making the wall kind of squishy and you're allowing yourself to be able to break it down. It's like, oh, now it's made up of little like soft blocks and I can take one piece down at a time. I'm liking this analogy, right? So it's now become a foam wall. It's now become a foam wall that is pieces, and you can take the pieces down. And that is how we overcome these challenges. We change it from this hard surface to being something soft and squishy and go, okay, I can work with this. So now that we've talked about catching ourselves calling it hard and turning it into a squishy wall, no, I'm kidding, questioning it, questioning why we've decided it is hard, the last thing, which is really embracing the challenge. And I love this one. So it's interesting. I was thinking about this recently. Actually, when I was thinking about that whole situation with making reels, I was thinking about this whole thing of I have a different mindset around challenges, I think, than maybe your average person. And it's funny because my best friend and I'm gonna have to ask her where this actually came from, but we always had this thing, particular with me, where we would always joke around this whole phrase of where's the challenge? And I think it's something that I've just had about me for a really long time where it's like whenever things are happening, I'm actually almost looking for the challenge in the way. And so it was always this thing where I like embrace a good challenge. I love problem solving. I love figuring things out. And I think this goes along with that kind of, curiosity is like a super core value of mine. And so to me, it's fun to have a challenge. I think life is meant to be filled with challenges. I think in many ways, I've always had this kind of mentality of of asking, where is the challenge? Meaning something along the lines of, I want the challenge, right? I want to be challenged because that to me is the only way that we grow. And right alongside that is one of my favorite things to say now is the phrase challenge accepted. So when I catch myself calling something hard or difficult or impossible, I like to be like, well, where's the challenge? And then the next thing I say to myself is like, freaking challenge accepted. When we look at it, it's almost like making it into a game. And I think that this is such an important thing around, especially when we're trying to do hard things or things outside of our comfort zone. I love to make things into a game. And so to me, something about saying challenge accepted feels like you're taking on the challenge, right? You're going to go up against this obstacle in your way and face it head on, and it feels like slaying the dragon or something like that. And I just love the idea of kind of really bringing it closer and like embracing the fact that like life is going to be filled with challenges. And it's interesting because I think that our natural tendency is to want to shy away from the things that we've deemed hard or difficult or impossible. This episode is truly about being able to go, all right, if I want to make change in my life, if I want to build the thing that I really want for myself, well, guess what? It's going to require me to step outside my comfort zone. I want you to remember that if we really want to change our lives for the better, if we want to really move in the direction of our dreams, right? If we really want to build the life that we have, that vision that's sitting in our heads that's going, hey, I know that this is what you really want, then guess what? We're going to have to step outside of our comfort zone. We're going to have to accept the challenge and embrace the challenge. And we're going to have to change our perspective on things being hard, because it's only hard because you've never done it before. It really is just shifting ourselves away just a little bit, step by step, from calling it hard and saying, what? Like, it's hard? I've shared a lot of different questions and things to ask yourself, but I want you to remember, like, that is the essence of it, right? Is really taking on that challenge, embracing it. In yoga, there's this whole idea of raga and devesha, attachment and avoidance. And it's like we become attached to the things that we do like and the things that are comfortable for us. And then we want to avoid anything that seems difficult or challenging. To me, like, life is all about being able to find kind of that middle path, right? That ability to release our attachment to the thing, to that comfort, and to not to be able to move ourselves closer to the things that we've been avoiding, right? And not be kind of ping-ponging ourselves like, oh no, got to move away from this, and oh no, I just want to be closer to this thing, right? And it's instead like being able to have a level of detachment to both. It's detaching ourselves from the things that we like, and it's detaching ourselves from avoiding the things we don't like. I want you to think about it as challenge starts at a level of avoidance, and then maybe you're moving to a level of acceptance, and then maybe you're reaching a point of embracing. Right. And so that's where I want us to move ourselves towards. Not going to happen over, tomorrow or whatever the case may be. Maybe it will. Maybe you're going to wake up like me the next day and be like, screw it. I embrace this. But it's okay if you take some time to kind of move yourself over to embracing the challenge. And maybe you need to start with accepting the challenge. And that is perfectly okay. But I just want you to remember that it's the more that you can learn to embrace challenges, the more you're going to be able to move yourself closer to the things that you really want. And I just want us to remember that anything that we really want to create for ourselves is going to require us to get a little uncomfortable, embrace the challenge, and step outside that comfort zone. But on the other side of that is something so incredible. Okay, so today we have talked about overcoming this word hard from 3 different perspectives. We've talked about catching it first and foremost. We've talked about questioning it, asking yourself powerful questions. And third, we talked about embracing the challenge. It's possible that just because I've kind of had you looking for it, you might see it more than you even realize. And that is okay. The more that we are paying attention to things, the more we're like, oh my God, it's everywhere. Normal, totally normal. And I want you to realize that. Totally normal if you realize, oh my God, I've been calling everything hard. That's exactly what happened to me after my coach pointed it out to me. I was like, oh my God, I've been calling everything hard. But guess what? When you start noticing it, piece by piece, step by step, you can start shifting yourself away from calling it hard and start embracing that challenge. And before you know it, all you're going to be saying all the time is, what? Like it's hard? Okay, so I hope that you can embrace this challenge and start changing your own relationship with the word hard. And if you're someone that is starting up a new challenge that you've been considering hard and you want support in being able to move yourself towards embracing that challenge instead and getting the support you need, then I invite you to come work with me in 3 months of private coaching. And it would be my pleasure in helping you shift your mindset and start taking on those challenges and really taking the action to making your dreams and that vision that you have for yourself come true. You can sign up by going to my website, jessicahuangcoaching.com. The link will be in the show notes, and it would be my pleasure to help you change your relationship with hard. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I will see you in the next one. Want to create more flow in your life? Go to the description below and sign up for the email list. I'll be sharing more insights and strategies with you, just like the ones you heard today. Remember, the power to create the life you desire resides within you, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. The world needs what you will create.